Let's say good morning. How's the Josh? How's the Josh? I can hear that. Okay. So let's begin again. Let me begin by asking you a simple question. And that is, let's suppose there are three pots of water with eggs in one, with potatoes in another, and a tea bag in the third pot of water. What will happen if you keep these three pots of water on a hot, flaming gas? Possibly, the eggs will begin to harden, the potatoes will begin to mash, or they'll begin to soften, and the tea bag will begin to leave its essence and color in the water. So if you notice how the situation was the same in all three circumstances, that was a hot gas flame, a hot boiling water. But what changed the entire game was the nature of the product plays inside that water. And this is what happens with us, and this is what shapes our future. It's something that's inside our mind, inside our own behavior and our action that kind of shapes us into becoming who we are today. So, as simple as I can't help but wonder that how our mind can actually, be our own enemy. Now you must be like, Ekta, stop this garbage. Because how can we, work against our own self? How can our mind be our own enemy? Because we love ourselves. You're right. We love ourselves so much that our mind can actually play against our own self. It keeps us in such a safe zone and a comfort zone so that we don't have to face situations that are, that can put us into uncertainty, that can dishevel us. So we always, our mind, tries and plays all the trick so that it can keep us safe and comfortable. And this is where we actually go wrong. Tell me one thing, raise your hand if you've ever told yourself that I don't think I'll ever be able to make it in my life. I don't think what tomorrow holds. My future just looks pale. I'm just kind of studying right now, but it kind of, I don't know what tomorrow brings. Just raise your hand. Can I see you guys raising your hand? Oh, that's too many of you. Wondering why I raised my hand? Because I was you. Filled with self-doubt, imposter syndrome, I didn't know what my future would bring. And I was a queen of self-deprecating behavior. I didn't know what tomorrow might bring. But something changed a decade and a half back. Something changed in me. So as a kid, this was me. Full of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all of it. And I used to question my ability. But like I said, something changed. And that was, as a kid, I would always, some days I would imagine myself to be an air hostess. That's funny, right? But yeah, some days I would imagine myself to be an air hostess. Some days I would imagine myself to be, a model. Some days I would imagine myself to be a news anchor. But I never imagined myself to be a mental health professional, never a speaker. You know why? Because I was extremely terrible when it came to speaking in English or striking a conversation. I was really, really bad. So much so that as a kid, after my school and college, I would run back to my home so that I don't have to face my friends, my colleagues, or I don't have to face anyone so that they make fun of me. They make fun of my English. They make fun of how I would present myself. So I would just run back home and avoid people. And trust me, this was disheartening. And when you were a teenager, I'm sure you must be relating to this. As a kid, I would, question myself so much. And as a teenager, we all determine our self-worth with the kind of social circle we are in. If that friend doesn't call me, if I'm not a part of a social circle or friend circle, it kind of eats us, right? And this is what happened to me. These heartbreaking moments really taught me so much that I understood that challenges are pervasive. You can't change the challenges. But You can always work on your own self. You can always hone your skills, work on your behavior, work on your actions. And that actually led me to understanding that it's 4 parameters that changes and shapes our future. Number 1 is our belief system. How do we think and feel about our own self? So what I thought about myself was, I'm not good enough. I don't think I'm that great. Second was our fear and adaptability to change to the circumstances. Number 3, the third parameter was our experience. Our experiences and how open are we to learn from those experiences. And the fourth was our micro habit, was our daily behavior. What do we do? How do we spend our day? All of that. And these 4 parameters actually determine how we will have our future. And these 4 parameters will either break us or make us. Which actually, reminds me that a lot of us, question ourselves that I don't think I'm great enough. Raise your hand if you've ever told yourself, I don't think I'm great enough, I'm good enough. Raise your hand. Oh yeah, I see too many hands though. And thanks to social media, because it's made things all the more easier for us to sort of compare ourselves to others. We see our friends just doing exceptionally great, they look great. We see so many influencers, putting out the good parts of their life. So we compare ourselves to them and we put ourselves down. That's what social comparison does to us. We put ourselves down by looking at others that, oh, I don't have what she has or he has. That reminds me of a beautiful story. And I'm sure you must all be aware of the story. That's a fish, an elephant, a tiger, a snake, a monkey, and a bird was put to test by a teacher where their excellence was judged based on their ability to climb and reach the top of the tree. Guess what happens? The bird immediately reaches the top of the tree because, of course, that's what the birds are made for. They're made to fly. So for them, it was easy. But then what happened to an elephant, a tiger, monkey? Monkey also got it easy. But what about others? They started doubting their capability. You know why? Because they thought that I'm not meant to pass this test, which means I'm not good enough. So what happens in these circumstances? The resistance takes place. So much so that the fish who was a part of this test started questioning himself that I don't think I have enough in me. So much so that the fish forgot that it has the ability to swim that an elephant doesn't. That a tiger can literally take down an animal big and larger size than himself, and that they were a great hunters compared to a monkey. An elephant who had a huge body and can actually literally crumble any person. He literally forgot that he has the capability of being a giant, powerful animal. And the penguin who was a part of this whole test literally forgot that I have a capability of surviving an icy, snowy storm that a tiger doesn't. And this is what the social comparison does to us. We forget the kind of skills we have in us. Let's talk about how belief systems work. And this is how belief systems work. When we compare ourselves to others, we forget the kind of skills we have because we are so busy focusing on things that we don't have. So next time when you tell yourself that I don't think I'm good enough, remind yourself, what do I have? Let me focus on that. While I speak about belief systems, let's talk about adaptability, which was a second parameter. COVID-19 was a great example of adaptability where we learned to adapt to masks, sanitizers, and companies pivoting to preparing PPE kit actually thrived that entire COVID period. They made tons of money, right? But companies and people who were rigid to not budge, they were rigid to not change or adapt to the new circumstances and situation, they are still surviving the loss that they've experienced during the COVID-19 period. While we speak about this, Actually, there's a, when we speak about adaptability, let's talk about innovation as well, right? Innovation is what shapes our future. If you're not open to adapting to change, we're not open to change our belief system towards what's coming next, what's trending. That reminds me of a beautiful, whole fact and this whole thing that I came across was, as a kid, tell me what kind of pencil we used to use. Natraj, Apsara? Now this is a fact that I came across and you should listen to this. So Natraj and Apsara actually captured the entire market for long, long, long years because they did not have any direct competition who would actually break this market. So they really had a good hold on the market until DOMS came into the picture in 2008 with their scented erasers and colorful triangular pencils. Something that kids can literally show off to their friends. And let me tell you, kids love showing off their stationeries. We all do, right? Like if we have something extraordinary, we love showing off to people. And kids really loved showing off. And this is what happened. DOMS understood that what exactly is the need of the hour. People are tired of the Natraj and Apsara pencils because, okay, these are standard, they give good, like good writing and whatnot. I mean, it's got good pressure, it's got good, color, code and whatnot. But DOMS understood that now kids want something else. Kids also like colorful colorful pencils. They like scented erasers. And they came up and they understood what really the market wants at this point. So it's imperative for you to understand that innovations do matter so much. And that reminds me of, that's what I understood. I worked on my skills. I worked on what tomorrow might bring, right? And I understood about the innovation, about the kind of how we should be open to learn about from our experiences. When we talk about experiences, I really had a tough time when it came to my school, my college, because I was such an introvert, a shy person that I would not even open up. And I worked on my skills so much that I think this is my 6th or 7th TED Talk, and I'm glad to be a part of this. And it reminds me that you definitely can work on yourself if you really learn from experience, if you start believing in your own self, if you start, creating and understanding the need of the hour that's going on, and that's going to shape you. And that's what I did. And here we are. I reached this space where I was a part of all the social gatherings. And this has happened only because I've worked on myself. And if I can, so can you, because I was such a terrible person when it came to school and college. And I've made sure that I work in such a way, I honed my skill, that I've reached this level where at this point I receive DMs, like the messages on my Instagram account, where I remember this one Instagram message that I received from a 16-year-old kid. And she messaged and she wrote to me that I really want to thank you today because this morning I was about to give up on my life. I didn't. After watching your video, I thought I should work on myself. That's heavy, right? That's huge. It still gives me goosebumps because I think a decade and a half ago, I could never believe that that could be me. But here I am. So a lot of times, we question ourselves that, oh, there's enough competition, there's enough doctors, there are enough engineers, there are enough AI guys, there are enough, tools and technology. I don't think I have anything extraordinary in me. There is always going to be competition. There is always going to be someone who's doing better. But what if DOMS thought of the same thing? It didn't. It knew how to capture the market and it did. And so can you. There will always be competition, but it's you who has to work on it. You have to work on the need of the hour. And that's going to shape you and your future. Don't let your limiting belief systems stop you. Don't let the sour experiences that you've been having stop you. Don't let your rigid mindset that, oh, I can't change, I can't adapt to this new change. Don't let this stop you. Rather work on it. So like I said, next time when you tell yourself that, you know what, I don't think there is enough in me, remind yourself what is that special thing that makes you stand out. That reminds me of a beautiful quote by Robert Scholar. And Robert Scholar says that don't let your hurt, but let your hopes and your habits define your future. Don't let your hurt, but let your hopes and habits define your future. I remember a decade and a half back when I got into psychology, I didn't know what psychology would bring because that time psychology was not a thing. Therapy was a stigma. I did have my own doubts, my moments of self-doubt and questioning what tomorrow might bring. But did that stop me from achieving what I wanted to? No. I still kept going on. And that's when I reached where I am today. So don't let things stop you. Otherwise, what's the point that you wanted to be a flower pot but you ended up being a soap dish? So you have to, hone your skills, work on yourself. And I would really like to wrap this up by reminding you of a beautiful quote by Carl Jung that says that life isn't what happens to you, but life is what do you do with what happens to you. Thank you so much.